you get to a point where it's not even about courage anymore. It's about the fact that you've just accepted that it's either go through the hard part of being sad and being alone and navigating the healing journey, or stay where you're at and be so miserable and unhappy. So the day that I told him that I wanted a divorce, it was just one of those things that it just came out. It just happened. Obviously, I thought about it. I thought about how I would say it, how I would deliver it. Obviously, I never wanted to just completely go out and like hurt him. That wasn't my intention with getting a divorce. It wasn't like, let me put you through what you put me through and like break your heart. Like that was not it at all. It's just, I got so tired of being unhappy. And it was just, I came to that crossroads of, I'm so tired of being in this place and I only have one option. And that's to just navigate the road of being single and healing and being sad. And I think that's what keeps people so stuck, is they don't want to navigate the hard road of sadness. And I get it. It was sad. I was hurt. I was just in a place for months. Now, 16 months later, we're grooving, we're moving, we're secure, we're so happy. But it takes time to get here. It does not happen instantly. You have to choose yourself. You have to choose the healing road in order to get to that place. And that's what people are so scared to do. So don't focus on when am I going to have the courage to tell him. Focus on how you feel inside. And I'm telling you, the day is going to come where you're just like, I don't care anymore. It's not even about courage. It's about the fact that I can no longer live in this place and I'm going to do something about it.
Stop it. Get some help.
Brothers, responsibility is kryptonite for women. Here we have the typical one who wants the ring and the wedding, but not to be a wife. She wants long-term financial security without the responsibility of having a home and a husband. Her entire narrative revolves around herself, her sadness, her healing, her happiness. At no point does she mention what she did for the relationship or what efforts she made to save the marriage. She simply got tired of being unhappy and decided to leave. What really happened is that she wanted to keep living like a single woman while enjoying the benefits of being married. And when the reality of commitment became too much, she convinced herself that the problem was the relationship, not her inability to take responsibility.
Isn't it crazy that we get into relationships with people? A lot of us have gotten into relationships with people that are narcissistic, like no one's behind the wheel, and emotionally illiterate, don't know how to connect, none of those things. We're codependent, we're unhealed, we have all these traumas and wounds, and we don't even recognize that. And so we're in a relationship with someone that we're craving love and emotional intimacy from them, and they're incapable. Like, they're not capable of ever being the person that you would want them to be. And guess what? They're not going to be that person with anyone else because they can't. They have brick walls around their heart. They're never going to be able to have emotional intimacy with anyone because they don't have it with themselves. They don't take relationships seriously. They don't know how to connect. They have such fears. They have such walls up. They have such a facade of who they are. And this is how they will live their life forever. But the problem is we don't see any of that in the beginning stages of dating. All we see is like potential, or we see some things that we kind of like, and we don't even know our own selves. We don't even know that we're wounded. So we end up either changing, conforming, ignoring, suppressing, like we're doing all of those things just to try to get the relationship to be somewhat of what we want it to be. Well, if I change and I do more of this, maybe that person will change and give me some more intimacy, or they gave me a little bit of a crumb, and so I'm just going to keep taking those crumbs. No, honey, this is your trauma coming through. This is the stuff that you haven't healed. The problem, the sad part, was that there's so many of us, and I was there, and I know you've been there, or you are there, hopefully you're not, but you don't even know any of this. Didn't know any of it. Didn't know this person, didn't know they were emotionally illiterate, didn't know myself, didn't know I had wounds and traumas, and so people will just suppress for years and years and be in relationships with people that they think are their soulmate, and they're not, because there's no emotional intimacy there.
First, They call men narcissistic and emotionally illiterate, but then they complain that there's not enough intimacy. So which is it? The problem isn't a lack of emotions in men. It's that the very things that attracted them in the first place, his strength, his dominance, his ability to stay composed, are now being labeled as flaws just because they're not getting constant emotional validation. On top of that, they use the lack of intimacy as proof that the man is disconnected, but never acknowledge what they've done to kill that connection. Many gain weight, lose their attractiveness, become cold, full of complaints and demands, and then expect the man to be just as excited as he was in the beginning. It's easy to blame the other person, but when a man stops showing interest, there's almost always a reason behind it. And many times, that reason is staring back at them in the mirror.
I read something today that said, in the narcissist's mind, why do they want to destroy us when we genuinely just want to love them so much? There was a response on there that really made a lot of sense. And it said, narcissists only choose good people. And this is true. They choose people that they see value in, someone that they have a hard time being. It's a battle for them, and we are showing them something that they struggle with. So it's better to destroy something that they can't become. So they take something so good because they're drawn to it, because opposites attract, but they can never be that. So they have this jealousy and they feel the need to destroy you. They mirror good, but they cannot be good. And as they try to be more like you, they become more jealous and they break you down more and more. And it is a constant battle within themselves. So then they start realizing their flaws, probably more likely on a subconscious level, and it makes them secretly hate you. So they feel like they have to destroy you. They feel like they have to destroy what they can't attain.
This is the typical woman who feels attracted to Chads, the ones who take her on an emotional roller coaster, and then complains when they treat her the same way they've treated everyone else. She says that narcissists only go after good people, but she never mentions that she's the one letting them into her life. When a nice guy comes along who actually values her, suddenly she's not interested, because he doesn't give her the emotional chaos she craves. But of course, in her mind, she's the victim and the man is the problem. There's never any self-criticism, never a moment where she asks herself why she keeps repeating the same pattern. She only complains when the consequences catch up to her.
One of the most interesting parts about getting divorced young is that all of a sudden, all of these people that you thought were happily married start coming out of the woodwork and they're like, hey, how did you know it was time? Hey, what was your breaking point? Hey, what advice would you give me? And I love that. It's like all of a sudden, all of the secrets and like the weird pretending that you're happy falls aside, and fucking love that. Yes, come to me. I will be your emotional support divorce doula anytime you need.
Here we have another case of someone not only celebrating her divorce, but also trying to recruit more women to follow in her footsteps. Basically, she's saying, I failed in my marriage. Now let me help you fail in yours too. The worst part is that she sells it as if she's liberating other women, when in reality, she's just validating her own decisions. Because if divorce were truly so liberating, she wouldn't need to convince others to do the same. This isn't empowerment, it's misery looking for company.
I genuinely do not even know how to begin talking about everything. I found out about the cheating after a really bad argument that we had. And in this argument, the things that he was saying didn't really correlate with the life that we were living. The year previous to me finding out about the cheating, we were trying to start a family. And we were very happy. We were accomplishing things that we never imagined of accomplishing. So we were living a very happy life. So I don't really know where it switched to being unhappy. The argument consisted of a lot of manipulation into making me believe that me asking for the bare minimum was unheard of and disgusting and something that I should have been ashamed of. I was so ashamed that I ended up writing him a 2-page letter, begging him for forgiveness. I read him this letter. He forgave me. And he just fell asleep so soundly that I knew that there was more to it. And I decided to go through his phone. When going through his phone, I found out everything. It was right in front of me and I saw my world crumbling in front of me. It was messages between him and women. It was messages between him and his friends with screenshots of the conversations of him and women. It was voice recordings. It was Google translation because he didn't know how to say it in English. So he was translating it into English so that it could make sense when he was flirting in English. And my whole life just flashed before my eyes. It was the most traumatic thing that I could have ever experienced. And when we chose to try to make it work, I thought we were both going to work, and it wasn't. I was spending my nights praying over him and begging God and pleading with God to repair my marriage, while he was continuously lying to me and still making a fool out of me in every way possible. He was not giving me any reasons to trust him. It was just not being reciprocated, and I was fighting alone. It all hit a climax when I found out more lies and more things that he was being untruthful about and unfaithful. And he looked at me in the eyes and he told me, I do not know how to respect you. I picked up my things, I left. And the hardest part, I thought at the time, was living with him, trying to repair my marriage while he just discarded me like trash. But in reality, it was restarting my life and from scratch. And it was very hard. And I've made these videos not to post or for clout. I made them because I needed to heal. I needed to have something to hold on to and grasp and tell myself, you're going to be okay, and you're going to look at these and you're going to be fine. And that's exactly what this is. And it ends up that I'm not alone. And there have been many other women or men too, that are coming out and saying, like, this has happened to me as well, and worse. It's shit. It's a shit process. It hurts. It's painful, but you grow and you get better. And while someone can destroy a part of your life, you're actually just starting a brand new book and a brand new chapter that has endless opportunities. So it's shit, but it gives you hope.
Hey, bro. What? Oh, my God!
Here we have the classic case of someone who tried to buy love and got a defective product. Apparently, she brought a man from another country, gave him stability, took care of him, and as soon as he got comfortable, he cheated on her and left her emotionally devastated. The problem is that these types of women think they can secure loyalty with paperwork and favors. But love can't be bought, and when a man feels trapped in a relationship out of convenience, he'll look for his freedom the moment he gets the chance. She thought she was building a family, but in reality, she was just sponsoring the ticket of someone who never saw her as a priority. Now she cries and says it was the most traumatic experience of her life. But the truth is, she played the game and lost.
Girl, if you are of age and you're not dating a man in his 30s, literally, what are you doing? I promise, on my whole life, I will never waste my time with a man who's my age ever again. Since dating 30-year-olds, this is what I've experienced. Number one, I don't gotta pay for shit. When I hang out with my man, do you want to know what I have to bring? I have to bring my ID and my lip gloss. Number two, babes, you think I've ever had to ask this man to buy me flowers? Honey, this man brings me flowers, no question. If I asked a 23-year-old to do that, you think a 23-year-old man would do that? Number three, the dates these men know how to plan? Girl, I just rode a horse on the beach just because. I have never touched a car door or a door in my life. And before you say, oh my God, he's probably talking to so many girls, and what, the 23-year-old wasn't? I'm not saying to let yourself cry over a man, but if you are gonna do it, might as well do it with one who's treating you like a princess in the meantime.
Hey, bro. What? Oh, my God!
This clearly shows how a woman's mindset shifts depending on her stage in life. When she's young, she wants to date men in their 30s or older because they're at their financial and emotional peak. But if she reaches 30, after several men have had their fun with her, and she still hasn't gotten the ring, her message changes to, young women, don't waste your time with older men, because she no longer wants to keep missing out on opportunities. And if she makes it to 35 or beyond, when she's already hit the wall, the message turns into pure resentment. Men never mature. They just want younger women. Ironic, isn't it? First, they chase men in their prime, but when the tables turn, they suddenly want to change the rules of the game.
This is for my girlies that like to date older men. Listen up. Hey everyone, it's your favorite housewife, Izzy. So you like to date older men, mainly because they're established. Don't tell me that you like them for any other reasons, my love, because let me tell you something. A 27-year-old without clothes on does not look like a 57-year-old without clothes on, and you are not going to pick the 57 or 67-year-old without clothes on, giving me option. But whatever, we all did it. I did it for food for the better half of my 20s. I just want you to think about some things. It's great to date and it's a lot of fun, but I need you to realize that you're in your 20s now and he's in his 40s, maybe 50s. But when you're in your 40s, he's going to be in his 60s, maybe 70s. Some factors I need you to think about. Does he have kids? Are you going to be splitting the lot with the kids? How much does that leave you? Does he want more kids? Are your kids going to have to split the lot with his kids? Is there enough in that lot for the lifestyle you're living now and your future kids and his kids to live? Because he's going before you and you're going to still be young and have a lot of life to live. When you are 50, he is going to be 70 and you are essentially going to be slightly his nurse. When I look at some of my exes that were 20 years older than me now, I'm like, oh, they're such old men and I am a young woman. Now, I am not telling you not to date them and have a great time on their tab and make sure that they are investing in your future. What I am saying is there really a reason to marry them if there's not a G5 and a giant yacht that's going to be left in your name? Toxic, my friends.
I don't judge a man who never got married. Considering today's divorce rates, it almost seems like a smart decision. Now, I'm not saying a man should be alone his entire life, but plenty of women like this missed the train because they were always chasing the winner, waiting at the finish line. Now she's over 40 and lonelier than the sun at noon on a cloudless day. She mocks single men in their 50s, but who really has the problem? A man at that age with money and stability still has options. A woman at that age, on the other hand, is no longer a priority for any high-value man. And the best part? She still doesn't realize why she ended up where she is.
I genuinely wish I did not have these many stories to tell, but here's another one. I go on a date with this guy who's like 19 years older than me, but he like really pursued me and he was really nice and really sweet. And so I was like, you know what? Let's just give it a shot. So we go out to dinner and he tells me about his divorce. He has 2 kids, so this was not a surprise, and tells me that his ex-wife had cheated on him with, drumroll please, her cousin. And then after they got divorced, married the cousin, who I guess was like a cousin through marriage and not blood related, but they had grown up together. And she had gotten away with the cheating for so long because she'd be like, I'm just hanging out with my cousin. What are you so worried about? Anyway, we're talking about it and he's like, yeah, I kind of have some trust issues that I'm working through from that, obviously. But like, I've done a lot of work. I was like, okay, that's wild. Hope you can get past that. I don't really know what to say about that. We order food. He starts ordering us wine and the date's actually going really well. But he like keeps ordering wine and cocktails and like he's drinking pretty heavy on the date. And it's important to note that at this restaurant, the servers didn't wear like a uniform. It was kind of one of those hip restaurants where they just had to wear like a black t-shirt and that was it. Like there was no distinguishing thing between the servers and the patrons other than black t-shirt, and they all kind of looked a little hipster. We're at the restaurant for so long that our server clocks out and another server clocks in. And this server comes up and introduces himself while my date is in the bathroom. He's just like, hey, your server went home. I'm taking over for her. Like, my name is Matt or whatever. If you need anything, flag me down. I'm like, great, cool. My date comes back to the table and he's like, hey, I have some friends that are in the restaurant. Do you mind if they come over to the table and like have a drink with us? And I was like, yeah, that's totally fine. So his friends come over, we're in this little booth and Matt, the server, sees there are new people and comes up to the table. But when he comes up to the table, the 3 of them are kind of engaged in a discussion. So he comes right up to me. He's just like, hey, I don't want to interrupt, but like, you guys need anything? Do you want to get another bottle of wine? Does anyone need a cocktail? Do you want to see a dessert menu? Literally, this man is just doing his job. My date clocks this from across the table and then all of a sudden won't speak to me. Like I literally said his name and he just looked at me and then put his arm around the girl sitting next to him. And she looks at him and goes, what are you doing? And he goes, I thought I was on a date with this whore. But if she's going to be talking to random dudes right in front of me, there's no chance I'm fucking her. And for a minute, I was just in shock. And I was like, that's our server. Mind you, this man is hammered. And he goes, oh, so you're a liar too. Our server's a woman. And then after about 30 seconds, I went, actually, that's my cousin, and got up and left. Anyway, if this encourages at least one woman to leave after the first red flag and not just stay because it's polite, I will be happy. Know your worth and be safe out there.
This won't be popular, but a masculine man is not emotional. On a first date, you don't need to spill your entire life story. The date is about making sure the girl has a good time. Always keep some mystery. Here, this man made 2 mistakes. First, he overreacted without even fully understanding the situation. A masculine man is pragmatic. Second, he drank too much, and alcohol on a first date is always a bad sign. That's why you should always go for a coffee date, no drinks. Now, this woman's story proves two things. First, if she was truly bothered by the waiter switch, she could have spoken up from the start. Second, never reveal your weaknesses to a woman, because look at how, in the end, she used his own story against him, hurting him even more. If you're inviting a girl out, I assume you want the date to go well. So, avoid these mistakes.
It's Dimitri calling again, the guy from the street. I left you a message several days ago. I don't like leaving second messages, but I like you. You're a very elegant woman. You're very attractive, but I don't play that game. So here's how it's going to work. If I do not receive a phone call back from you by 3 o'clock Thursday afternoon, I'm no longer interested. I'm very intelligent. I'm great in bed. I make great money. Believe it or not, I'm a complete catch. Matter of fact, I'm one of the few men in the city that has nothing wrong with him. Now, I understand if you've got other issues. I don't know, maybe you were abused in childhood. Maybe you're just a person who's extremely frightened or has an anxiety disorder. Maybe you're on some medication for that. I don't know. There could be another issue. If you're psychologically normal and you haven't called me because there's been some horrible thing that's happened in your life which prevented you, that's fine. Otherwise...
No! God, please, no! 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 No!
For reasons like this, I recommend men learn sales or read books on how to sell. This guy wants to prove he's high value, but what he's really doing is coming off as needy. And if there's one thing women hate, it's a needy man. Instead of calling her to talk about how amazing he is, he could have said something like, "Hey, I think you might have missed my message, but I found a great spot that serves an excellent seafood pasta. Want to join me on Thursday at 3? That would have sparked interest. This not only sounds more casual, but it also sells her an experience without looking desperate. A high-value man doesn't go around announcing that he's high value, especially not to a 40-year-old woman. If she doesn't respond, he simply moves on to the next. A man with real options doesn't beg, and with his approach, this guy made it obvious that he has none.
So if you meet someone in their late 40s, never been married, and no kids, run. I cannot imagine dating someone in their late 40s that's never been married and no kids. Like, what the fuck is wrong with them? No one wanted to wife them up, or no one wanted to marry that guy? Or was he a little playboy? He didn't want to ever commit to anyone. He likely has never had to sacrifice or put anyone's needs in front of his. Who knows? Maybe it was the whole, his career came first. He had to move so many times. There's always so many fun excuses. But never would I ever, if I was a guy, I would think this as well. Want to be in a relationship with someone that's in their late 40s, or heaven forbid, older, that's never been married and no kids. I'll leave those to everyone else.
It's funny because it's true.
See how the narrative changes with age? Here we have a woman telling others, "Don't enjoy what I enjoyed." When she was in her 20s, dating older men for money and free dinners was fun. But now that she's aged, she suddenly realizes those men are too old, and maybe it wasn't such a great idea after all. That's why, by the time they hit 30, many have a high body count, because, as they say themselves, they were just enjoying life. But when men point out that they come with too much baggage and are no longer considered serious relationship material, that's when the tears and complaints start. The real issue isn't the message. It's the fact that now that her options have run out, she wants to change the rules of the game. Because once she hits the wall, and as we all know, the wall doesn't forgive.
Just had one of those moments where I'm like, wow, I really pay for everything. Like, the father of my child doesn't pay for anything. Like, how you wanted to have a kid, you wanted to be a family, then you got exactly what you wanted and left me do it by myself. I literally have to ask the father of my child to send me money, and I'm not doing that. I'm sorry. I'm the mother of your child. I'm not your mother, bro. Like, why would I ask you if you want to send money for your own kid? And then on top of that, whenever I call him and I'm like, hey, like, can you send money for her? He always has an argument ready to go. Like, I'm talking about, he literally will make me beg him. He will make me call him and get to the point where I'm crying, asking him to send money for his kid.
And I am no longer going to do that. I'm no longer going to blow up your phone. I'm no longer going to cry. I'm no longer going to beg you to provide for your kid. If you don't want to provide, you don't want to provide. It's that simple. So if you chill with the father of my child, knowing he doesn't take care of his child, I will never be cool with you. It's no hard feelings, but if you could chill with a man that doesn't take care of his kid, don't cry whenever he drops you or doesn't help you when you need help or doesn't answer the phone when you need somebody to go get you or whatever the case is. Because if that man doesn't take care of his kids, how are you going to expect him to be loyal to you as a friend? What?
Cocaine is a hell of a drug.
Getting along with your child's father is not your friend's problem. He sees him as a business associate, not as a partner or a father. Unlike you, who had the option to choose a responsible man or stay married, but did the exact opposite. Now you're complaining about the outcome. The real problem here is that when you had the chance to choose wisely, you didn't. And now you want everyone to see the guy as a villain, when in reality, he's just dealing with the consequences of your own decisions. The best part is that you claim you don't get any support, yet he at least gives you good content to criticize on social media. So, in a way, he is supporting you.
Y'all, I just want to cry right now. I have some advice. If you are a single parent, and more specifically a solo parent, meaning you parent your child completely on your own, you have absolutely no help ever. I mean, I live hours away from my family and I have literally no one to rely on. So if you are in a similar situation, I highly recommend just making friends with your kids' friends' parents. I have become pretty close with like a few of my son's friends' parents, like the moms, over the years. He's now a 6th grader in middle school and I'm so grateful. I want to cry. I had the most wild day. Dropped him off at school, had to run back and work. After work, I'm running over to pick him up from basketball. After basketball, I had to run over and take him to baseball. After baseball, they have a back to school night tonight at his middle school, which I do not want to miss. It is so important for me to know his teachers and his school. Like, that's huge. Like, it's huge, especially as he's getting older. If your kid's getting older, you gotta stay connected. Anyways, after I can't even pick him up from baseball. Like, I can't be in 2 places at once. And I'm just so grateful that one of the moms that Adrian's really good friends with, it's like they play sports together, all this stuff. And it's like, she shows up for me, you know? I was like, can you guys just take him home and then I'll grab him after back to school night because her husband's going to get him. She's going to back to school night. She has a 2-parent household that can help. I don't. So her husband's going to take Adrian after school and I'm just going to pick him up at their house. And it's like, if I didn't have community and support and friends like this, I don't know how I would do it. So stay connected with your kids' friends' parents.
There's the key. She has a husband. So why don't you have yours? That's the difference between choosing the right father for your children. Now you're crying because you can't handle everything. But the real question is, why did you get divorced? You had a partner, someone who could share the burden, but you decided that being alone was the better option. And now you rely on the generosity of other families who made better choices. This isn't bad luck. It's the direct consequence of your own decisions.
I saw a TikTok that I cannot stop thinking about where this girl was saying how her favorite houses to go to as a kid would be her friends who were being raised in single mother households because they were just these really safe, feminine spaces. And that just makes me feel so like emotional and so happy because that was me. I was raised in a single mother household with my mom and my sister, and I genuinely feel like our house was like the Shub's house. Like, people were always over, girls were always at my house. I was always like the house for sleepovers. And my mom was always so relaxed and so chill, and everyone called my mom like their second mom. Like, they would call her Mama Muller or Mama Husna. I just feel like it's so validating. Because when you're growing up in a single parent household, you're looking at your other friends who have like perfect looking families and you're like being raised by like a mom who's really trying to figure it out and doing a really good job, but you feel kind of different. And then seeing that TikTok, I was like, do you know what? Like, I really feel like I had it the best out of everyone. Obviously, I'm going to have my biases, but being in a space where it was just women, it was my mom, me, and my sister, and we could do whatever we wanted with our house. We could do whatever we wanted with our food and our time, and my mom could raise me exactly how she wanted to. And when it came to boys and going out and whatever it was, like, she was able to be the only person who really had an influence and a say on the way me and my sister were going to be like existing in the world. And I don't know, maturing is realizing that single mother households were just where it was at. It was a safe, beautiful space.
So, was your home a factory for single mothers, and you see that as something ideal? Because that's exactly what you're describing, an environment without male figures, where only women's decisions were validated, with no balance or family structure. Sure, you say it was a safe and beautiful space, but you conveniently ignore the fact that a father's absence is not a good thing. It's no coincidence that fatherless homes have higher rates of emotional, economic, and social problems. But hey, if for you the ideal home is one where only women's choices matter and there's no male authority, don't be surprised when history repeats itself in the next generation.
I'm sure we could all agree that heartbreak hurts, right? But you know what hurts even more? Going through pregnancy alone. Now, that's a feeling I will never forget because I feel like that's the time where I was supposed to be in my soft, feminine era. I was supposed to be nurtured and taken care of. But I went through my pregnancy alone. So I had to be the strongest I had ever been in my whole entire life. I will never get over it. It's just so hard because you don't want your baby to feel everything you're feeling. And you, like, even the doctor tells you, your baby will feel all of your feelings. So it's hard. You either bottle it up inside and let it eat at you, or you cry and cry your whole entire pregnancy. Don't even get me started on the hormones and then feel horrible about it because your baby is going through it too. It was hard. It was traumatizing. That's what makes me not want another baby like ever again. Just the fear of going through it alone again. But if you're in it right now, you could do it. I got through it. We're alive and thriving now, but it was hard. I love you. Bye.
Stop it. Get some help.
And here we go again. What kind of men are you getting involved with? What kind of men are you choosing? You complain about going through pregnancy alone, but why don't you figure out beforehand if the guy is actually stable? Why not build a solid relationship before bringing a child into the world? It's all emotional decision-making. You get caught up in the passion of the moment without thinking about the consequences. And then, when the man disappears, the tears and complaints start. This isn't bad luck. It's the result of poor choices. And the worst part? Many will repeat the same cycle without learning a thing.
I never thought I would be a single parent, let alone single and pregnant. Life is not what I imagined it to be. I don't have the support at home of a romantic partner and father of my boys like I'd always imagined. I've got no one to sit with me and unbox my new baby clothes or help me decide which furniture suits the nursery. I've got no one at home with me to put their hand on my belly when there's a powerful kick from my son's growing, precious feet. I won't have a partner to hold my hand during labour while I bring my son into this world, but I'll have powerful women holding my hand, reminding me during each contractions that I can do this, that I am strong. I'll have powerful women lifting me up as I navigate the challenging world that is postpartum. I'll have women to catch me if I fall, reminding me that I can do hard things. I might not have a partner to emotionally support me, but I have the collective energy of every mother and woman who stands before me. Together, women can conquer anything.
Oh, hell no!
When a woman is already going through pregnancy alone in the first few months, it only tells us three things. Either she got pregnant by a Chad, it was a one-night stand, or the guy was married. The only option we can rule out is that her husband passed away. There's no surprise here, just the result of bad choices. First, she gets carried away by emotions without making sure the man is stable. Then, when everything falls apart, she turns her story into a strong and independent woman narrative. But this isn't about strength. It's about facing the consequences of her own decisions. And the best part? Instead of acknowledging it, she seeks refuge in a group of women who tell her what she wants to hear instead of what she needs to hear.
I don't know about the rest of my single folk, but every day single, I become less and less interested in the idea of a relationship or marriage. I've had my fair share of relationships. Some were okay, some were terrible. I genuinely just feel like there's nobody out there that I am compatible enough with to settle down. Maybe that's selfish of me, but I honestly don't care. I feel like so much of my life is centered around taking care of other people and not taking care of myself. When I think about my dreams for the future, it used to involve getting married, but I don't know if that's something I want anymore. I used to think being alone meant that I had to give in to the feeling of loneliness. And while I do feel that way sometimes, it's actually very freeing to be able to do what you want without having to answer to anybody. Maybe I'll change my mind eventually. I don't know.
If someone's absence brings you peace, you didn't lose anything. Towards the end of my first marriage, I had taken a trip cross country with my daughter. Initially, the trip was supposed to last 1 week. And the time came close to that 1 week being over. I decided, you know what? I'm not ready to go home. I want to extend it another week. And then my cousin had asked me, wow, like, don't you miss your husband? I thought about that for like 1.3 seconds. No, I don't. The answer is no. Truth was, I could have stayed for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks, and I would have been perfectly fine. That was one of the first signs. That was one of the first times that it really sunk in, and I knew something's missing. It was only a matter of months after that we separated. You feel more at peace and less stressed and more yourself when you are not around somebody that is a huge red flag. Your partner is meant to add value to your life. They're meant to make things easier. They're supposed to be your teammate, right? So instead of you being the one to do everything, they're there to help you. So if you're with someone who's not doing that, it's probably not your person.
Oh, hell no!
The ironic thing about all this is that her husband also had peace when she wasn't around, because during those 2 weeks, he didn't look for her either. So he was even happier that she was gone. This tells us that she brought no value to his life. Brothers, responsibility is kryptonite for women.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
Whenever a woman tells me, women are always flirting with my husband, they're overly friendly with him, it makes me so uncomfortable. Why is he not setting boundaries? That is a married man's job to set boundaries with other women. At some point, it is his fault that women keep getting the message that they're allowed to be too friendly with him. Whether you're a married man or a married woman, it is very easy to shut things down when someone is being inappropriate towards you and disrespecting your marriage. I have talked to a lot of women that are like, oh, this woman, like, she touched my husband's arm and she's like overly friendly every time we see her. And it's like, yeah, your husband is actually at fault now. Like, that is his fault for not setting boundaries, because he should be sending a very clear message that he will make a fool out of anyone that disrespects his marriage and disrespects his wife. It actually is as simple as that. And yeah, like, good looking people are going to get attention from the opposite sex. That initial attention is not their fault, but it is their fault when they don't set boundaries. And this is a very black and white issue. Whenever women are like, this woman keeps flirting with my husband, my question is always, why will he not set boundaries? He's willing to hurt your marriage instead of hurt her feelings. He should be hurting her feelings. She disrespects your marriage.
The masculine man always sets boundaries. That's clear. But if a man does this with a woman who enjoys male attention, he's immediately labeled insecure. And even more so when he does it on social media, like Instagram. Now, do women set boundaries when it comes to the attention they receive? No, because the reality is that women are more territorial than men. They know perfectly well that a woman's worst enemy is another woman. It's the classic double standard. When they want attention, it's fine. When their man gets it, it's disrespectful.
Especially if you're in any type of marriage or relationship where there's any type of abuse, which cheating is emotional abuse.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of people don't recognize that, but it's a fact. It absolutely is. And if there's any type of somebody taking advantage of you or abusing you in any capacity, or even just any type of toxic relationship, there's so much trauma that comes along with that physically. And for me, the exhaustion and all of that, I was just in fight or flight for so long, fighting through this situation. Felt like I was completely alone and isolated, and I truly was just exerting every ounce of emotional energy that I had into this situation, and I was genuinely just exhausted, you know. And I got to the point after where once I had finally gotten into my own apartment and I had gotten out on my own, and when we were finally no contact, the exhaustion was crazy. I felt like I could not sleep enough, but I was always like weak at the same time. And there was just like this pit, like well, occasionally like I'll still have it, but there's just like a pit in your stomach and in your chest that just like is constant. Like it's like the physical heartbreak. It just stays with you.
Stop it. Get some help.
Honestly, nowadays, everything is called abuse. There's nothing a man does that isn't labeled that way, even if he never yelled or raised a hand. Let's be real. Don't talk to me about abuse. Just tell the truth. You got involved with an unstable Chad who took you on an emotional roller coaster, and you became addicted to the chaos. But now that he left you and the relationship no longer benefits you, you call it abuse.
I don't know who needs to hear this, but having a man or getting married is not going to solve your problem. I was married. I was in a very long relationship, and I will tell you, the man does not solve it. The man often is contributing to it. Every problem, every angst, every misalignment in your life is for you to solve, and you have the power to solve every single thing that doesn't feel in alignment in your life. This idea that having a man is going to solve those things for us is one of the most delusional things I've ever seen in my life. Whatever your life looks like right now, if you feel like this is not the life that I want, it's up to you to go out and create the life that you want. Like, get your money right, get your career in a place that you're excited about, build friendships, find love outside of romantic love. Create the world that you want to live in. Because I swear to God, one of the most disappointing things in life will be this lie that has been sold to us that finding romantic love and partnership is going to automatically flip a switch and suddenly we're in our dream world. One of the biggest disappointments in life is when you find romantic love or you find yourself in romantic partnership and crickets. Absolutely nothing has changed outside of the fact that there's someone sitting next to you on the couch now. And it's not to discount like the beauty and the joy and the wonders of romantic love, but it's just not going to solve everything else. We have to snap out of the delusion that it will and instead empower ourselves to create the life and the world that we want to live in, and then let romantic love be a part of that if and when it comes.
Cocaine is a hell of a drug.
A relationship is meant for both to build a future together, not for the man to solve your life. If you have trauma, go to a doctor, not your husband. He's not your therapist, nor is he getting paid for it. The problem with many women is that, to have a fulfilling relationship, they want the man to be everything: therapist, emotional support, provider, companion, protector, and in the end, they end up stealing his peace. But a man who has no peace with a woman will quickly discard her in silence. Not all men are willing to carry massive emotional baggage because they know that kind of woman brings nothing to the table, only problems. We've reached the end of the video, but before we go, here are some questions for you. Would you be in a relationship with a woman who doesn't bring you peace? Have you ever left a woman, and did that contribute significantly to your personal success? If you enjoyed the video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell. Your support means the world to us and motivates us to create more content. Stay tuned for the next exciting video from the wall.